listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Central Hudson reminds you, when you're doing yard work, safety matters. If you use a ladder, be aware of overhead electric lines, including the service wire that runs to your house. Even wooden ladders can conduct electricity with dangerous results. And be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a swimming pool, and you're working with skimmers, brooms, or other long-handled tools. Central Hudson wishes you a safe summer.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Jackie Levezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This programming is brought to you by the Friends of Kevin Cahill. As a strong advocate of local broadcasting, Assemblymember Cahill urges you to support Kingston Community Radio with your time and donations. Your contributions keep KCR vital and on the air at FM 92.5, AM 920, and on the web at mykcr.org. Please join Assemblymember Cahill and send your gifts of $10, $25, or more to Kingston Community Radio, Post Office Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402. Together, let's keep KCR alive.
Thank you, Lawrence. Good morning, listeners. This is the KCR Morning Radio Show. We are broadcasting live from 16 Lucas Avenue here in Kingston, New York. We've got Fred Costello, Supervisor, Town of Sorgetes.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, Lawrence. Good morning, listeners.
331-9255 is our call-in number. We would love to hear from you. Anything that may be on your mind, any questions, concerns that you have on this July 7th, Wednesday morning.
It hurts when you say that out loud. This one's going by quickly now. July 7th.
The 4th of July is in our rearview mirror. Is that hard to believe?
Yes, it is.
And you know what? We're going to sneeze or we're going to blink, and it's going to be Labor Day.
All right, easy. You remind me of my grandmother right now. She used to give us that speech. We always had a family get together on the 4th of July, and at the end of the night, she said, okay, 4th of July is over, summer's done. And I'm like, Grandma, school just got out. We have a long way to go. And she always insisted that was it. But as you get older, I certainly understand her perspective, and summer does slip away pretty quickly.
Boy. Just,
it's been great, though.
Yeah.
And 4th of July was so much fun in Sorgetes.
It was. The fireworks.
Wow, they did a good
probably, job. I would have to say, I was going to, I've been saying one of the best shows. I think it's the best show they've put on in Sorgetes on the 4th of July.
You really didn't.
I think because of the technology, the way it has gotten and what they're able to do, the S fireworks for Sorgetes, for Stallions, for Sawyers, whatever you want to relate the S's to, the S fireworks I thought were...
they were cool.
Yeah.
They're impressive. Some folks didn't even know what they were at first. I was like, it's an S. They didn't realize what they were looking at right away.
Oh, no fooling.
Yeah, I was like, it's a big S. They're like, what? I'm like, it's an S for Sorgetes. They're like, oh. It was cool. They did a great job.
The red hearts. The red hearts.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty spectacular.
And then whatever those three things are that take like 5 minutes to come down and flicker, whatever. I don't know what
I love those because I think of being a kid again. The parachutes.
Yeah, the parachutes.
Yeah.
Okay, miniature parachutes. There you go.
I always enjoy those. It was fun. Beautiful day.
Parade route, a lot of people out. That was good to hear, good to see. Although I just saw it from what I could see, looking left on Market and right on Market.
It was very in line with what traditional attendance was over the years. Those people all along the parade route, even on Russell Street, and it felt good to be out there after not doing it last year and experiencing what we had. But it was great. It was really great, and not much confusion about the time change, which was great. People showed up, and they were all lining the sidewalks and greeting us as we went through. It was pretty fun. And DeSales on Market Street, a long-standing tradition. They were out there heckling the parade attendees and had a big front yard party for anyone who was willing to spend a little time with them, and it was great. It provided some live entertainment. They dressed up as Kiss this year.
Oh, did
The
they?
band, yeah.
I was going to walk, I generally walk down, but then I seemed to get marooned either when I passed Freddie Frears, you got Montano's,
Yep.
and then with DeSales, and then
It's pretty hard to get there.
also Brian right next door. Brian,
Carmody.
Huh?
Carmody. Isn't Carmody?
No,
Not
no,
Carmody.
no.
I know who you mean.
Used to be the ground supervisor at Hits.
It's, yep. But they
That awful.
yeah, it's crowded over there. There's a lot of folks go. The DeSales they're so dedicated to it. They dress up every year. Every year's a different theme. And when I came around and saw those guys dressed up as Kiss, you can't help but start cracking up laughing. And they had jackets on and they did their face and makeup and wore wigs even though it was a hot day. They're just dedicated to it. So it makes it a really nice experience, fun.
So now I was told they're doing it one more year and that's going to be it.
I've heard that before. I hope that's just
I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, 'cause that's really-
that's part of the 4th of July. It's
Kinda
part of
defines
what
it,
makes
yeah.
Market Street.
Yeah, it kind of defines part of it. So we'll see. It will. I know it's difficult for everybody, especially as you get older. Your kids have different interests, and they've suffered some loss this year. That family. So I guess maybe I don't know. Hopefully it's not true. It's a really nice tradition, and we enjoy it. We enjoy it very much. They ask you tough trivia questions, which you couldn't answer if you had time to look it up on Google, and embarrass you in front of the crowd pretty good. They're great. It's super fun. Super fun. There's a lot of it's kind of interesting, and you see people's traditions. There as you go down the parade route, there's little clusters of families who really dedicate to participating and watching the parade, and they have their friends and family over, and it's a pretty nice experience. So I had a homemade empanada on the parade route. One of the families does that, and boy, was that good.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
So it was fun.
That's good. That's really good. And a couple things.
The
with
Stanley's
some,
game was successful, even though they didn't win.
Yeah, they got
Big crowd, though.
huge crowd. Huge crowd.
I still got a good feeling. It's amazing. That is the rivalry, Amsterdam.
Yeah. Oh,
That
yeah.
team
That is
kinda
the
has their
rivalry,
number.
and, yeah, they haven't done so well. I think they've only beat them twice this year out of, and of course, when the schedule was generated, there was so many of the COVID restrictions in place. So the East teams are only playing the East teams. So you're playing the same teams.
Pretty over and
I
over.
think there's 5 teams altogether in the East Division. And then, you've got the Central and you got the Western, where normally they would be going
Game against each one of those teams.
all the way out. I remember, it's basically you kill 2 days with a trip to Jamestown. Jamestown is in the Western
Western
Division.
part is-
They have a team, and then there's Geneva, and there's other ones somewhere's further up north. Adirondack, the Adirondack team. So you don't get to see those teams. Obviously, the travel is just within because, again, when the schedule had to be generated, which is usually like late November, and this year they held off until early January, but that's about the latest they could
they
have
can
went.
make it go.
And because of the restrictions, they did not know. And something I had sent to Kevin, it's easy to say, it would probably be hard to implement, but simply for accommodations or with travel with the busing, where there was a plan A and a plan B. A plan A if the current restrictions when they generated the schedule were in place, and then a plan B if those restrictions
Were
were
lifted.
were lifted.
I know. I'm
But,
sympathetic to organizations that were trying to organize stuff.
Oh,
Even the
yeah.
things that we were trying to do, you
Same
just
thing.
couldn't predict. You couldn't predict the next week, let alone 4 or 5 months in advance. So, hopefully, get back to a more regular, balanced schedule next season. So, I'm curious. Do you know how are they going to do that? They're going to have representatives from each division make the playoff series. Is that how they're going to do it?
I think the first place team in the 3 divisions, and then the best record. like a
Okay.
wild card.
And that'll set up the
That'll
playoffs.
that'll be the 4 teams. Although I've also heard that they're going to take it out and extend it out further, where the best record team gets a bye. The best record team out of the 3 divisions gets a bye. All right, that would leave 2, and then the 2 best records out of the 3 divisions.
Compete to. That's a good idea.
So I've heard both. I'm not, and Kevin wasn't quite certain. And this was early on when I talked to him about this. This had to be before the season even started.
I feel like with baseball, a single elimination is so hard.
Yeah.
Because you can, boy, oh boy, one bad inning can change the whole complex.
Well, traditionally, the playoffs have been 2 out of 3,
2 out of
and
3?
the championship has been 2 out of 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
So if they did a wild card, would they maintain that? Because they do it in baseball. They have that 1-game playoff, and I'm
Actually,
I'm
you know
sort of
what?
traditional in my
You know
view.
what? I'm wrong. Last year, the playoff was a 1-game. 2 years ago, there was no last year because I remember I went up to the game.
Mhm.
It was against Amsterdam.
It was a 1-game
It
series.
was a 1-game series. Yeah.
So as a baseball traditionalist, I always feel that a 1-game isn't representative because
No.
you get, those players are only human. So if the pitcher has an off day, that's the game.
Right.
And
That's it.
the rest of the team might play great, but if the pitcher got yanked in the 3rd inning because he just couldn't find his groove, that's the end of it. You lose. And the next day you might come back and the same thing could happen to another player. It's baseball's it's pretty interesting how that affects it. I always feel a multi-game series is a much better representation.
But you look at
schedule's compressed, though.
You look at football. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
A quarterback could have an off day.
Yeah. Injury.
Basically, it boils down to what's been said many times. On any given day, any team can beat any other given team.
Yeah. Absolutely. You get a bad call. I remember the Jets made it to the playoffs on Vinny Testaverde, non-touchdown. Remember that about 15 years ago?
That was, a number of years ago.
I was excited, though. As a Jet fan, I was like, yay! We didn't deserve to be there, but we're there.
So a couple locals making the news here. Zach Swart hit his 2nd home run, Kingston native.
Yeah.
Playing now for the Detroit Tigers to beat the Rangers. And Sorgady's own Tom Hallion is named home plate umpire and crew chief for the All-Star game in Denver. And then I just happened to see it.
Career he's had.
Oh, yeah.
Really amazing.
That you had pointed out Bruce Springsteen's daughter, who won the hits championship once and then finished runner-up a 2nd time, made the Olympic team. She's part of the one of 4 riders, so just one of 4 riders on the U.S. Horse jumping team.
That made national news, too.
Oh, I bet it
Because
did.
of the celebrity of Bruce Springsteen.
Right,
but,
right.
Good for her, and it's pretty neat that she was part of Sargis for
Yeah.
a couple seasons here.
She was here for a number of seasons. And I happened to run into Bruce.
Did you really?
Didn't even know.
Did you recognize him right away?
No, I did not. No, I don't. I looked at him, and just for some
He's
reason,
familiar.
I'm saying to myself, I probably know this guy. I don't know. You know how I am with putting names to faces, and we had a nice little chat. He's just a down to earth person, and we just that had to be 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, because
There's
I'll tell you why. Because the 2 people that I got to know that came from Oklahoma City every year and worked the bar. Okay, the wife was a bartender, and the husband was security on the grounds.
Okay.
He did security. So she's the one that said to me,
Do you know who you're talking to?
and I said no.
That's just a nice man I met.
So then, I and he was chatting with somebody alongside, and she just, kind of said it to me, kind of quietly. So then I introduced myself to him, and it's on several occasions when you meet these people, to see the ones that are not cocky or think they're above everybody. Just a down to earth person, and talked about his daughter and jumping and at what age she started to jump and things like that. We didn't really didn't talk about his songs or anything like that. I don't think they want to be bothered.
I don't
with,
think so
with,
either.
with
He's
that.
just there to be a dad and enjoy the atmosphere and root for his daughter. So kind of neat. But that goes both ways when you meet folks like that. Sometimes they want to remind you who they are, and sometimes you talk to them for 10 minutes, you don't even know who they were.
Yeah.
And then you realize it later. And those are the ones that kind of stick in my mind because, we're all just regular folks in the end anyway. And I'm glad to hear you say that about him. Yeah.
One of the best ones that I will never, ever forget is with Jack Keeley, Eddie Feldman. When we went down to pick up Phil Rizzuto, who was speaking at the Flamingo, for I think the Glasgow Little League banquet. And, oh my God, to listen to Phil Rizzuto and Jack Keeley. Oh my God. I wish I had a record. If I had a recording on that, I could probably sell that on eBay for $1 million.
Yeah, I would love to have been a fly on the wall for that conversation.
That was just
Jack was quite a character. I didn't know him very well. And then I finally got to meet him and spend a little time with him. He was a character.
Oh, yeah.
But he was brilliant, too. He remembered statistics. Holy
unbelievable.
cow.
He visited every major league ballpark.
He did do it?
Every major league ballpark.
That's fun.
And, he was the only one allowed, back many, many moons ago. Let's see here. Boy, you're probably about like 45 years ago or so. Just as the west side of the complex was getting developed, there's an old track that ran from the small pavilion through the baseball field,
I remember.
which we probably about 10 years ago
Finally dug
out because the grass would go dormant and die every fall because it was shale.
Yeah.
And when we did dig that out, wow, there was over a foot.
Of shale?
Over a foot of shale.
Folks
and
did a
rock.
good job with it back in the day.
So on top of that was very similar to stone dust. And that thing ran. There was no fence on the main baseball diamond. I can remember playing Babe Ruth, and Keeley would drive in, because there was no Westfield. He would drive in to the Keeley field, and the game would have to stop. He had an unmarked vehicle as a senior corrections officer with lights and sirens. Well, the Cubs obviously didn't have lights, so they played afternoon games. So whenever the Chicago Cubs won, he was a diehard Chicago Cubs fan, he would come in with the lights and the siren going. Only person in Sorgaties of the world, the game would stop for him to drive in.
Drive in there and celebrate the Cubs victory.
To get over to Keeley Field. Oh, boy.
I'm sure a few folks are annoyed by that, but he wasn't a guy you'd want to tangle with. He was a big man.
Yes, he was.
He's a real gentle giant.
Gentle giant. You took the words right out of my mouth, the gentle giant. 331-9255. We'd love to hear from you on this Wednesday morning. Give us a call, anything that's on your mind, any questions you may have, concerns.
Did those folks talk baseball? Phil Rizzuto and Jack Lee, did they talk baseball the whole way up? Or
That's about all they talked about.
That was it?
That was about all they talked about. And what
a treat that was for you to just listen.
But, the thing, at the time, you didn't appreciate it as much as you did as I got older.
Yeah.
And there'll be times that, and I haven't talked to Eddie now in, oh boy, I bet you 4 or 5 years. We would get talking about that, or our trips down to Yankee Stadium. He would pull alongside he would never pay for parking. Jack would never pay for parking. He put that placard in his windshield. There'd be no parking sign across from the jail. He'd park right there.
Right there.
Never, ever a ticket. Nothing.
Some folks, boy, they had charmed lives. But it was such an interesting era back in when Phil Rizzuto played in that day. It was pretty special. And they always came to our Little League banquets. Imagine a Yankee player coming to a Little League banquet now. It's just unheard of.
Oh, yeah. And, just they wanted to be picked up, a ride up, and a ride back home.
Yeah, and they'd eat canned beans and roast beef like the rest of us and tell some baseball stories and make you feel good. It was pretty special. I enjoyed it a lot. Remember Joe Pepitone?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I remember him for some reason distinctly doing our Little League banquet. And
Now, him I did recognize the first time.
well, he had distinctive hair.
Yes, he had distinctive.
He lived in Saugerties for a
He
while,
lived in
didn't
Saugerties, yeah. Yeah. He was on the swings with his daughter.
Oh, so you knew who it was right away.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wonder how,
Actually, didn't he throw a couple pitches for the Dutchman?
he probably did. Greg did such an amazing job when he was with that. I'm sure he did.
I know Boughton did.
He did?
Oh, yeah, Boughton pitched 3 or 4 innings.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. That had to be, I'm sure he got everybody out, but it had to be a thrill for those
Joe
guys.
lived down near,
It's Late House Drive, I
yeah,
think.
next to, right near Joan Zuckerman.
No, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Joe never told me a story. I'm sure she's got a bunch.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure she does.
Yeah. I haven't spent time with her since COVID ended yet, and I'm looking forward to it. I miss her a lot.
Well, that's the thing, you know, there's been people we haven't, I ran into Mrs. Josh yesterday. Yep. I haven't seen her, and of all places, at the physical therapy place. It looks like we got one announcement here, and then I've got something I don't have a flyer for. You can do that, and then I'll do my gig.
Coach House Players, the longest operating community theater group in Ulster County, is proud to present Friends and Family. We need them now more than ever. This is a piece written by Barbara Jones and directed by Barbara Jones. This will be shown on July 10th, 11th, 17th, and 18th, and the show times begin at 2 p.m. Everybody has to be fully vaccinated to attend. If you're planning to attend, you need to have evidence of vaccination. And you can get more information at World Wide Web, CoachHousePlayers.org. This is on 12 Augusta Street in Kingston, New York. General admission is $15. Youth 18 and under is $10. So good to see them back running a schedule again. And for anybody who hasn't gone, just the experience of the theater is worth going. It's really a special place.
And this weekend, Saturday at 1 p.m., is the first home game for the Saugerties Crusaders, semi-pro, women's semi-pro soccer team in Saugerties. And then they also have a home game on Sunday. They only have 3 home games this season. This is their inaugural season since the franchise was bought. And then also, I believe it's this Sunday at 6 o'clock, the Saugerties
Lacrosse Club.
Nighthawks, is it? You know, I have a flyer, and I keep meaning to bring the thing, and
That's Darren's. We were hoping still to have him as a guest to talk about it.
that's who I'm thinking about for next week.
Yeah,
Because he was going to join us last week, and then had some
tied
kind of
up.
kind of a conflict. He got called into work.
Yep. So that would be exciting if we could get him on. Young man taking a chance, which I admire, and bringing something we don't have. Lacrosse is such a bursting sport right now, and to have a team of this caliber, professional, it would be pretty exciting. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
People will enjoy it.
Well, and to have 2 semi-pro teams playing basically side by side, one out on the soccer field adjacent to the ice arena, and one inside the ice arena.
Well,
just
it's a compliment
curious,
to you guys because you
meant
and
to
your
ask,
staff, that place is just spectacular.
I meant to ask Rob what the attendance was. I was just curious for the first game. Maybe I'll shoot him a text. Oh yeah,
7:30, he's up and running.
Oh yeah, you've seen that.
So yeah, it was,
Got a memorial today for Willie Golf, and they're having after the church, they're having I guess you would call it the reception and lunch at the soccer pavilion, and then they set up a tent between the soccer pavilion and the soccer concession. So Rob is busy with a couple of others, 20 tables and 100 chairs, and so it's a nice. The Fitzsimmons are putting it on. Pat and
are they really?
is it Shirley?
Yeah, Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're
Well, he's certainly an individual who deserves it. He was such a gentleman, and he was a heck of an athlete too. But a World War II vet, and he meant a lot to so many people. So I'm glad they're celebrating his life, and he died during COVID, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is first opportunity for their friends and family to celebrate his life. I'm glad they're doing it. Speaking of World War II vets, Paul Donlin was in the parade, looking great, and he's another. Him and Jimmy and a couple of those other folks that kind of have been staples at the Legion for a long, long time. It's just fun to see him.
Yes. Yeah.
Really fun to see him, and those events wouldn't be the same if you didn't bump into him during it. So I was glad to see both of them out doing well.
So I just shot him a text. See what he
comes
has to
back
say.
with. No shortage of activity, and then of course this weekend on Sunday, our car show.
Oh, yes. Geez. How can we forget about that? Boy, oh, boy. I'm
Is Bob going to
surprised.
call in today?
No, he called in last week.
Last week, I know.
Yeah, he called in
All
last
right.
week.
Well, if he's listening, you're welcome to call always. And, I know he's got, I don't know how many bands and free ice cream.
5 bands, I think, and free ice cream at Stewart's. And then he's got a band playing at 5 o'clock at the Reese's lot. The American Legion, at the American Legion Hall, being put on jointly by the VFW and American Legion Hall, they're doing their breakfast
in the morning,
Sunday morning. So you could start off your day with breakfast at the American Legion, sit out on the back porch, and then stroll over to the car show. And right now the weather looks decent.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a good day.
For the weekend.
There'll be hundreds of cars of all different makes and models and hot rods and classics, and it's just fun to walk around, and what a great vibe for the day.
Yeah.
You're going to see folks you haven't seen in a long time, and all the restaurants really are welcoming, so you can have lunch and really enjoy the afternoon.
I love, because it just reminds you of like a street fair in the city. And it's too bad we don't do more of them. It's a lot of work where you close down Main and Petition Street and just walk those streets, hop in, and the restaurants. Many of them they'll be selling right from the sidewalk.
Yeah, a lot of them tell me this is their best day for the year, which is saying something because there's a number of pretty big days, but on the calendar, this is what an event. It's really fun, and they take advantage of the alleys and provide music there and really make the whole village part of the vibe. It's really special.
So I was mistaken. Rob did text me back. It's Saturday at 6 o'clock is the box lacrosse game. And he doesn't have a number, but he said it was a decent crowd.
Good.
For the first game.
Very good.
So hopefully Darren will be able to join us next week at, 7:30 it will be, and fill us in further. Perfect. So we got a nice lineup here this morning. This is Law Enforcement Wednesday. We've got Sorgady's Police Chief, Joseph Sinagra, who is in the house. I can hear him on the other side of the wall here.
That's my fault. We're off. We haven't seen each other in a couple months, so
you guys are catching up.
We got a lot to catch up to do.
Gotcha. All right. Now we've got the State Police Captain Mario Restivo. Thank you, Chief. And we've got Juan Figueroa, Sheriff from Ulster County. But no Kyle Berardi. He had other commitment this morning. So, but we'll have a
full house.
Yes, we will.
Be at a microphone soon.
Well, we got that one over there. That one, I believe, works. And we still have.
You guys should be all right. You got 3 people come. Oh, that's right. Yes. So he can use that one.
Yeah, we'll just slide that one over and. We'll go from.
I got a few extra commercials to play, so we can go to break now if you want.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, one thing before we go to break. This is an interesting team. So the Sorgady's team on Saturday, this is the semi-pro box lacrosse, is playing the Salt Lake Eels.
That's the name of the team, the Salt Lake Eels?
Salt Lake Eels.
God, I've heard of a lot of team
I like
names,
that.
but never the Eels.
I like that. I do. I like that. All right, yeah, if you're ready there, Lawrence,
okay.
We're at 7:29 very shortly. We'll be back in a few.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Swimming pools are great for family fun, and Central Hudson wants you to play it safe. Never operate an electric appliance next to or in the pool. Be sure pool motors and filters are grounded. Have them installed by a professional and serviced by a licensed professional electrician. Be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a pool, especially if using long-handled cleaning tools. And if a storm is nearby, get out of the water. Your safety matters.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org. Produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, listeners who have been with us. Those just joining us, welcome. 331-9255 is our call-in number. In the studio here is Supervisor Fred Costello from Saugerties, Town of Saugerties, and Town of Saugerties Police Chief Joseph Sinagra. Good morning, sir.
And good morning, and how's everybody this fine and wonderful day?
Very good. Congratulations, Chief. Greg and I were talking about the success of the 4th of July.
Oh, it's awesome.
And that was no short part to you and the department, making sure everybody was safe and traffic flowed smoothly, and we did a good job.
It was I got to tell you something. I had a lot of phone calls yesterday. I spoke to a lot of people. They were amazed at how quickly they said they were able to get out of Saugerties. Now, I, on the other hand, and one of my sergeants will be the first to tell you, every year we always find something we can tweak. We found something else that we can actually tweak for next year that I think will actually even make the traffic flow even that much more smoother. But what we have to keep in mind is, yes, and the men and women of Saugerties Police Department, the state troopers that assisted us, the deputies, the NCON officers, a big kudos to those gentlemen and ladies. They did a great job, but I get the pleasure every year since I've been police chief, almost 10 years now, to say I want to thank the general public, because it's the people that come to these events in Saugerties that are respectful, they're pleasant to deal with, they're patient. So, without a cooperative community or a population of people that come into these events, they could be disastrous. And really what prevents that from happening is that everybody, when they come to Saugerties, it's like there's an aura over them, and everybody is so nice to one another. That's why we call it friendly Saugerties. So I really enjoy it.
And we do have that sign up, so people,
I know, right?
Passes should,
maybe there's something about it.
Right.
Across that line. But without cooperation from the public, these events wouldn't be as successful as they are. We have the car show now coming up next weekend. Yeah. This weekend, rather. Yeah, I say next weekend. Yeah, that's true. This weekend, Sunday. Yeah, and I'm looking very forward to that. We have the Rock Hope event on Saturday. I don't know if you spoke about that at all. But
Greg and I were talking about that, too, and those street fairs are so appealing, but that's an undertaking to pull that off.
Right, and just wanted to remind
file a permit to do it.
Right.
And then we have to close traffic, and that doesn't.
That's what I was going to mention. Just that there's going to be a little traffic flow issue going through the village when you get by the Reese parking lot there at Main and Market. So people need to keep that in mind.
And also, then they're going to be on a detour route. And,
Correct. Yep. We'll get them around. We'll have a couple.
always do. But so it's a Sunday, so we won't run into a lot of it. But the oversized vehicles will be compromising their ability to get through. That takes a little bit.
Any idea how many people? Just we can backtrack a little bit on the 4th, because I actually did a traffic post, and then I was answering calls for service, just for regular community service calls during the fireworks. But when I was driving around, and at one point I did a walking post on the business district around 7 p.m., and it was bumper to bumper, a steady flow of traffic coming into the village.
That way, when we came in, and it was elbow to elbow inside the complex. And then I also
everything was
cow flop filled with lawn chairs.
Everything was full in the complex, including parking lot A, all the parking lots.
School
and
field.
from what I understand, not only were the blacktop parking lots, the front lawn was full of cars. There had to be over 10,000 people.
Yeah, I've never seen that many people on the front of the high school property. That was just jam-packed when I came down Washington.
And from what I understand, also, the RV parking lot out at Hits was full.
That was probably a great place to watch the show.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
It's a beautiful spot, and there could have easily been over 15. Yeah. And
Tom
boy,
generously left that open.
I've given up. It would be so helpful. For years, I would first it was with Tom Story, then with Dave Corrigan about getting a traffic counter. The cable that goes across the road. It would be so helpful. I mean, to have that on Mike Kraut Road, just down from the Hits A gate, like where Tinkins live, in that area there. Another one, on Washington Avenue, and then even if that's the two main routes that people take. But I'm sure there was a lot of vehicular traffic that used Elm Street, people getting off the thruway, making.
I was just thinking, because even North Street,
right?
I noticed. A lot of folks were, when we left the complex, we went out Beers, which was pretty easy to get through.
Right.
And we went past the Village Garage pretty quickly, but then we could see the taillights on North Street of folks waiting to get onto Ulster Avenue, and we were headed north, so we were kind of going against traffic.
I actually became a taxi that night and was given rides from Cantine to North Street because it's so dark, especially when you come over the top of that hill.
Blind there.
Yeah, so I would ask them, I'd tell them, hey, look, it's really dark. So they would get in the car, and then they realized once they got in the back seat, they were trapped. They couldn't get out. They were locked in, but then I would take them over to North Street and get out and let them out.
Good.
But yeah, there was a number. There was quite a few cars on North Street. Yeah, I was really concerned about that because that was the other thing I saw was a high volume was the pedestrian traffic. I've never seen that many people walking through the village, and I knew they were from out of the area because they would see me and say, "How do you get to Cantine?"
Did you have your drone up?
No, we did not put the drone up. Nope.
Somebody had a drone. Right. I saw that. That would have given a good indication.
Yeah, I would suspect that may have been somebody that's doing. There's a third commercial coming up for Sorgeties. I think that may have had something to do with it. That they started pre-filming for that because they're going to do some filming on Sunday for that as well.
Okay.
So I suspect that's probably what that was. No, there was everything was really good. I gotta tell you, it went smooth. I was very happy.
Where were you located?
So I was actually at Main and Partition for a while. I did a walking post, but then while the fireworks were going on, I was answering calls for service because we got backed up. At one point, we had within 5 minutes we had 13 calls for service.
Did you get a lot of calls on private people shooting fireworks?
We had no more than we normally get. I
just thought, didn't you think at the complex there was a lot more than normal?
Yes, there was, because there was somebody on the back of Beers Lane lighting them off.
Oh my, yeah.
They were good. They were some big ones. And then somebody on Washington Avenue doing it too.
I was told where those M80s got shot were from behind, like that first house on Washington Avenue, owned by Hits, where Sweeney used to live. Back there.
Yeah,
those were a couple of.
There were some big fireworks
ones
there too.
Yeah.
So.
And then of course there was no wind, so the smoke just.
Oh, it was just laid in there. There was like a haze over the village for about an hour or two after the event.
Those are dangerous, and we're not encouraging people to do it. But I was inside the complex, so our fireworks are going off, and then those other ones are going off around you, so to speak. So it's kind of an interesting experience to be
competing
surrounded.
Fireworks.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first year I didn't get to see them. I was,
wow.
Yeah, first year I didn't get to see him. I was actually.
I said to Fred earlier on the show here, certainly one of the best, and I could go out on the limb and say the best that I've seen in Sorgeties on the 4th of July. But with technology and what they're able to do, like there were several fireworks, went up a big S for Sorgeties,
right,
or Sawyers, or Stallions, and then a couple of Red Hearts, the miniature parachutes. So
yeah, my wife and kids were there, so they were filling me in on the fireworks. Yeah.
Sergeant Fallon, he put I think he was stressed out all week about planning.
He's exhausted. He's off today. He's off today. He took today off. He's exhausted. No, the Sarge does a good job with that. He takes care of handling the events like that, any of our major events. He puts together the incident action plan, and then afterwards we sit down and we debrief it. And that's what I was saying in the beginning of the show. We take a look at what could we have done better, because there's always something that we can do better. And we did find a couple of things that we're going to change for next year, which will hopefully help with the flow of traffic. Because although we got a lot of compliments from the public, I didn't think it went personally as smoothly as it could have, because of some gaps that we had in the plan, but we fixed those.
So I think also there's a response component to that, because I was with Derek a couple times last week, Fallon, and when the other communities were canceling their events, he's like, oh my God, we're going to get overrun. We didn't plan for this not to be there. We're going to get all those people too. But
I got to a point where I had people that run their regular days off. They got ordered back into work.
Okay.
Just so we had the
just to make sure.
manpower and the staffing to make sure everything went smoothly. And that was something else that people commented on, that they appreciated the fact that at just about every intersection there was a police officer giving them direction, so they knew which way to go. Yeah. And here comes Captain Restivo.
Yeah. Let our captain.
And how are you, sir?
Center.
Good morning. Good morning. And we'll let the captain get situated in there.
Yeah. And as a fellow law enforcement to the captain, I will give you the pleasure of introducing our new captain.
Our new captain here. Well, he's actually he's old new, because it's Captain Mario Restivo of the New York State Police. And what year did you go on? You came on, I think, a little bit after me, right? I came on in '89.
92, I started in Rosendale Police.
Right, Rosendale Police, and then became a state trooper in
2000.
Yeah, and he's been here in Kingston, and then they sent him away a little while, because every time he got promoted, state police, they send you someplace else. Not too many places I can send people in Sorgeties when I promote them, but state police has an entire state, obviously. Tell us a little bit, just for our listeners, a little bit about who you are and a little bit about your career. I'm sure they like to hear that.
Oh boy, I'm sorry.
We always do that. He gets to learn all the what do they call it? The announces of
the ins and outs.
Yeah, of being on radio.
And then intimidating with the big blue microphone.
Then you'll see Lawrence every so often. He'll tap and go, "Hey, you got to get closer to
the mic."
Sorry, Lawrence.
Right, he's not here, so no need to apologize.
He probably passed out. Yeah. He's probably laying down the floor back there.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. It's
absolutely
my pleasure. Captain Appleton talked a lot about the radio show, and now I get to see it live.
Yeah, we're happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we got to enjoy Captain Appleton a lot. He did a great job. You guys all do. That's one thing I've noticed as an observation. There's a deep bench in the state police, and we always worry, because we've been fortunate to have terrific leadership. And you always worry about the next person, but then they come in and it's like nothing. It's seamless. It goes really well, and each one of you have put your own flavor on the troop. But it's been terrific to watch.
I think congratulations are in order too right now, because I just noticed the bars.
Yes. So June 24th, it was permanent. So I finally got I appreciate that. Thank you. I got my permanent rank on June 24th. Which
congratulations.
Thank you. It's a blessing. Thank you, sir. It's Troop F has been an incredible machine, I could say. We operate at a pace that other pieces of the state don't see, and they don't operate at the same pace. And for whatever reason, people come here, and it's just a great community. And I mean every one of the counties in Troop F. There's 7 counties, and Ulster County being so unique because the law enforcement community has a great ability to come together, not just in times of crisis, but just on daily events, to communicate and be able to get the job done. Going back to your question, Chief. So a little bit about myself. So I'm a born and raised Ulster County boy. My parents came here from the Bronx in 1969. I was born shortly thereafter. I'll try not to say when. It'll give me an age. And I grew up in the southern half of the county, and
after my graduation from Roundup Valley High School, I went to Ulster County Community College, and that's when I met up with the then Rosendale Police Chief, Nippy Lasher, for people who know him. He saw that I was a criminal justice student and had the desire to be a police officer, and he brought me under his wing, and like he did so many other members of the police community, either they're KPD officers or town of Poughkeepsie officers, or even a lot of state troopers have come through the town of Rosendale ranks. Sheriff's deputies, as you know, like retired Chief Perry Soule, who was my first field training officer. So went from in Rosendale Police from 92 to 98, and then I transferred over or resigned and got hired in the City of Beacon Police Department for 2 years. So I was in Dutchess County for a short while. A different picture than Ulster County, but it was unique in its own way and a good community as well. And then the state police decided to hire me in 2000, and I was a trooper here in Kingston, Highland, got promoted to investigator, went to Catskill. Then transferred back down to Kingston as an investigator, and then ended up in Highland. And then their phone rang, and they invited me over to the narcotics piece of the state police, and I spent 4 years there. Took a couple promotional exams, and here I am, get promoted to lieutenant, and I get transferred up to field command, which is in the administrative building in Albany next to our academy and our lab. And then I transfer back down here, and I get Kingston as the lieutenant, and then work under Appleton, Andre Ray, and Chris Gilroy. And now, June 24th, they say, hey, guess what? You're moving an office over. You're now the captain. So I've been blessed. It's been a great career.
Good for
Wow. You know, it's good. It's so great to hear those stories, especially from homegrown people that were born and raised in Ulster County.
Given an opportunity, you know, if I didn't have Nippy Lasher to give me the, hey, you know, I see something in you, which is something we do a lot in this community. People, I'm sure the chief has hired law enforcement officers that he sees something in, and it turns out to be a success. And that's what we're doing locally, you know, as well, even currently, you know.
I think everyone that holds an administrative position or a supervisory position, you know, play a role. But then on the other side of the coin, you got to give yourself a lot of credit, and those people who do promote themselves for taking that initiative. Because let's face it, you have them, you've seen them, you have them, where the individual does not have the initiative to take the next step and to promote themselves. Obviously, with what you just shared here and the steps along the way, you obviously showed great initiative and commitment and dedication. So that plays a big role also.
Yeah, it sure does. You have to be dedicated in your daily life, and police working outside.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's, I was just going to just say that because really when, you know, as a boss, when we go to hire people, especially when we go to promote people, we need to look for somebody who's going to go out there and promote the agency and do the right things for the agency. Because let's face it, I mean, especially nowadays, you do something off duty, it has a direct impact on the police agency you work for, let alone the entire law enforcement community throughout our nation. So really, you know, you have to pat yourself on the back and say, you know, I got here because I earned it. I worked hard for it. And don't forget that, but also remember where you came from. That's always important too.
Absolutely, I'm humble. I'm honored, you know, to be where I am in my current seat for sure.
Awesome. So listen, on the radio, you can never say no to an ask. Remember that. So if somebody asks you for something on the radio, you can't say no.
What do we need?
So I'm setting them up for the 20th.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
So I need a trooper. I need one trooper for the 20th. Which is 2 weeks on Tuesday.
He's busy next month.
Where you're going with
because
I'm saying now, why is he lecturing the captain?
So now the reason
he's busy next month.
You had to lay the foundation. You got to butter him up.
Yeah.
So here's what. But you're going to like this. This is really cool. So also we had the Sawyer Police Department was going to do a first responders night with the Stallions baseball team on Tuesday the 20th, and the county wanted to do something similar. So the county's going to lead it, and we're going to join on with it. And what it's going to be is if you're a first responder anywhere in Ulster County, you can come to the ball game on the 20th. You get in for free. Your family gets in for free. The entire thing is being sponsored by Ulster County and the town of Sorgity, Sawyer Motors, Children's First Responders Foundation, CSX Rail have put into this. We took delivery through Bob Saracasano, you know where I'm going with this, a tractor-trailer load of toys. And what we're going to do is for each child that comes in, a child is going to get some sort of toy. And when I say a toy, I'm not talking something small. We have Advanced Monopoly, and we have Disney characters, and we have basketballs and baseballs, and you name it, we have it. So what we'd like to do is have a deputy, a state trooper, one of my officers, possibly NCON officer, a CSX officer, working that table that night so that we can make sure that every child gets something that comes into the ballpark.
Now, I just want to clarify, it's July 20th or August?
No, July 20th. Yeah, it's coming up in 2
right
weeks.
around the bend.
Yeah. And I know that the county is working on possibly having fireworks that night. I'm not sure if that's been solidified, but that is something else that they're taking a look at doing at the end of the game. But it's a great opportunity for first responders throughout Ulster County to get together. It's Ulster County and Pat Ryan's way of saying thank you to all the first responders. And remember, if you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're an EMT, you're a paramedic, you're a police officer, a firefighter, all first responder categories are welcome. And the only thing that we're going to ask for is that you just have some sort of ID that indicates you're a first responder and you're in the ballpark for free. They're also providing food and beverages that evening. So everything.
And you listed the co-sponsors and, Al Khan's organization and some of those others and Sawyer Motors, obviously. But their generosity and support for first responders is over the top.
It is. And they're the ones that actually sponsor our Lights On program. Yep. And for those that don't know Al Khan, because I love to tell people who Al Khan is, he was the inventor of Pokemon, and just a great individual, and he puts a lot back into the community. Yeah, and NFL actually has provided some funding to Lights On now. Which
really?
Oh, yeah, they made a big contribution to Lights On program, which helps support our program here locally.
It's a no-brainer, especially in the times we're in where there's so much scrutiny between police and the communities we're trying to serve. To have a program like this bridge that, just a no-brainer.
No-brainer.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that we're going to do the first responders night. I think that's
Me too. And Al's organization with CSX did something similar at Citi Field.
They just did last month.
And that actually,
they had a Mets game, and they brought everybody in. And in fact, I don't want you to be jealous, but I got a great, awesome challenge coin that they had made up for that evening, and all first responders received a challenge coin. I'm not going to tell you.
Good for you. I didn't realize you
thought I was someplace else.
That got some big media coverage. I saw it on, I think it was on the national news, where they did that, and it was really well covered, and as it should be. That was a pretty generous way. And their organization, when they came to celebrate the kickoff of the Lights On program with us, they were talking about some of the efforts they're making to restore parks all across New York City. I was taken back. It's millions of dollars in investment, and kudos to them because Al's had his career and he doesn't need to do any of the stuff he's doing, but he wants to, and it's intoxicating to be around him. You want to be part of it. It's pretty cool.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So one trooper on the 20th.
You absolutely have my commitment.
All right, now back to our regular programming.
So we're talking about logistics and timing and
we'll get a car salesman in another life. There
you go. The game starts at 7, so we get together at 6 o'clock because we have to get the table all set up.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
So for our listeners who are just listening, and for those who are streaming and are viewing this live, you got to see our police chief, especially the Saugerties residents, your police chief, in action.
There you go. And wait till the sheriff gets here at 8 o'clock. The sheriff will be here at 8 o'clock. He's getting the same story.
He's listening.
Unless he's listening.
He's probably listening.
He can just come in and say yes. So how did 4th of July go for the state police? I know you guys helped us out, and I'm sure you helped many other communities out.
Yeah, great day at the town of Saugerties, Cantine Field, starting out there, and all the first responders that were involved in the parade. It was a fantastic day. Locally, the state police obviously had their intoxicated driver initiative. We're trying to make the roads safe and making sure that no one's out there driving drugged or intoxicated. It was successful in the fact that we didn't have any fatal accidents, but we did arrest some people for driving while intoxicated, but it wasn't at the numbers we've seen in the past. So this is good.
That's good to hear. That is good to hear.
It's interesting to me always. We're in similar age, the three of us, and you too, Greg. But
I'm a little bit higher up there.
But you've seen the same thing that I've witnessed. When I was a kid, it was just MAD was a big deal, and the awareness of drunk driving was just becoming manifested in the public's consciousness and all those efforts. But it took hold. The younger generation understand it, and they take for granted that it's just something you don't do, as your seatbelt, as car seats, and all those initiatives that made driving safer. And I think the new challenge is texting.
Texting and on the cell phone.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago we had a distracted driver initiative, and unfortunately we did write a lot of summonses for texting while driving or having a mobile device in their hand or electronic device as they're driving. And you see that pretty frequently, it's scary.
So one of the things that strikes me is the young folks get the drunk driving risk and they subscribe to it entirely. But the texting, they just seem to feel
we're only
sensitivity
going
to it all.
We're enforcing that through local law enforcement, even on statewide efforts, is never going to be effective. What I think they have to do is take a look at technology, because I know when I get in my car, my phone silences. So there's something in my car that causes the phone to silence. So I have no idea if I'm getting a text message. I know when a phone call comes in.
Mine's the same way.
So in
my personal vehicle and in the town vehicle.
Right. So they should have the ability to put technology into newer vehicles that basically, unless you're in park, your texting option is off. And I think they'll be able to do that. I think that's the only way we're going to address it effectively, because you see it all the time. I don't how many times I see this, and this is how brazen some people are. They're leaning up against the driver's side window.
Yeah.
Windows open, and they've got the phone right to the ear, so it's like any cop passing, sees it. So it's I really think that's the only way we're going to be effective with it, to get 100% compliancy.
Well, it's become statistically an influence on the numbers. For decades, traffic safety had improved, and now it's certainly leveled off. And I think there's some evidence that the roads are not as safe as they were.
Oh no, the aggressive driving. I mean, the captain will tell you statewide, we're up 4% in I think fatalities due to aggressive driving. And it's going to be interesting. And I know it's always a sore topic when I bring it up, but it's going to be interesting now with cannabis passed. Every state that has passed cannabis legislation has seen an increase. And I'll preface this: it's not a major increase, but they have seen a 3% increase, up to a 3% increase in the number of road-related fatalities due directly because of cannabis use. And I know that's a very small number, and the cannabis industry likes to look at that and say, well, it's a very minute number, but just one additional death per year is one too many. It's sad when you take a look at the number of people that die every year on our highways. And now we're going to compound that, and who knows what the future is going to bring as far as what we're going to allow. And then you have the texting and driving and the distracted driving, et cetera. Yesterday we had a menacing in Sorgaties. Individual pulled a handgun on another person because they were mad at him, and the person ended up having 2 additional firearms in the vehicle, all unlicensed, out of state. And if we take a look at what happens with this person, we arrest them, they get arraigned, and they get released. We kept the guns, but the person gets released. Yeah, so it's our entire system that's failing right now. That we have to try to reset that clock on the criminal justice system. This is where I get on my soapbox.
I see the box, and you're standing high on it.
Well, I'm only 5'4", so I need a box, but I'll be the first to say it in the room, right, Greg? As he's chuckling over there.
I'm not saying anything, but yeah.
But it is kind of sad, and we really have to take a look at that, where we're headed, and how do we properly address it. And it becomes very challenging for you. I mean, you have 7 counties. I have 1 township I have to deal with, but you have 7 counties you have to deal with. And it can be, and I'm sure each county is unique. You may have counties in your area that may opt out. I mean, not the county per se itself, because the county doesn't have the right, but only towns and villages can opt out. Right.
Yeah, so clarifying, I just have 2 counties, Ulster and
2
Green.
counties. I'm sorry,
but
7.
With the F, there's the 5 counties, but we do cover a substantial geographical area.
So you have Green and Ulster.
Green and Ulster.
Okay.
Yes, that's Zone 3. So Zone 2 is down in Orange and Rockland, and Zone 1 is Sullivan. So, but if you take a look at Troop F as a whole, it's a huge piece of land. And the Hudson Valley, as we all know, it's not just all flat. So there's a lot of challenges with that. But getting back to the traffic safety piece, we have seen an uptick in drug driving. We are addressing that. The state police has an A-Ride program, just as your members are trained. We're retraining our narcotics canines now to. We're either phasing them out depending upon their age, and we're instituting additional dogs into the program. So there's a lot of challenges that go along with the legalization of marijuana, and not just the driving challenge.
Right.
So yeah, it's going to be a future of unknowns, and we're trying to adapt and overcome. So But yeah, primarily one of the missions of the state police is traffic safety, and that's what we're doing on a daily basis. As you see, people comment, the troopers are always stopping cars. Well, that's what we do.
Right. And that's part of it. It's the educational component as well. And, not everybody that's getting stopped is getting a ticket.
Absolutely not.
Which is, the public has to understand that when they see somebody stopped, it's not, oh, there's a cop giving somebody a ticket. No, there's a cop that's educating a motorist on what their behavioral change needs to be so that they can operate safely on our public roadways.
Yeah, we commonly only hear about the complaints, right? Because they're the ones that come to the
They're the only
forefront.
ones, right.
But there are many times where I'll walk into either a convenience store or speak with someone that is an acquaintance and say, you know what, I had an incredible interaction with one of the troopers. I got stopped. I was doing the wrong thing, but I didn't get a ticket. Or even I did get a ticket and they were right. I shouldn't be if it's texting and driving, or, I was too close to the person in front of me. Sometimes people need an eye-opener, and that's, sometimes those vehicle and traffic stops are just that.
I got a great phone call last week from a gentleman who he called and he says, Chief, I got to tell you, he says, I was with my daughter and one of your cops stopped us. And I was like, oh, here it comes. What happened? And he goes, I got to tell you, the cop was so polite. He explained to my daughter what she did wrong. He didn't write her a ticket, and that was her first time being stopped by the police. She's a new driver, and what a great positive experience to have the first time you get stopped by the police. I thought that was pretty awesome. And just the fact that this gentleman took the time to call our agency and say, look, I know you probably hear all the bad stuff, so I wanted you to hear something good for once.
That's nice to get that.
That is nice, and especially for that individual. I talked about initiative earlier, to take that initiative to reach out to you. How many times have I said to you, you're conducting a town board meeting, how many did people sign up for the privilege of floor and get up there and say, Mr. Supervisor and town board, I am happy with everything. You're doing a great job.
It hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet. Okay, with that, we're at the top of the hour. We'll be back in a few, listeners.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/Drug Facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here. And it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Hi, this is Jim Quigley, supervisor of the town of Ulster, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
Rondout Savings Bank has a long history of serving local communities and maintaining a strong tradition of customer service excellence while providing each customer with the personal attention they deserve. Rondout Savings' approach to community banking puts you and the growth of your business in the front of everything they do. They're a different kind of bank and would like to tell you why, so please reach out to one of their expert business bankers for an appointment and let them show you what they can do for you. Rondout Savings Bank, always working for you and the community with branches in Kingston, West Hurley, and Hyde Park. Also online at rondoutbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Board meetings.
Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, listeners. For those who have been with us the past hour, those just joining us, 331-9255 is our call-in number. In the studio here this morning is our new state police captain, Mario Restifo. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did great.
I did great. See that, Chief? I did great.
Awesome.
And our illustrious police chief from Sorgaties, Joseph Sinagro, with a big smiling grin on his face.
He usually forgets my name.
And not a hair out of place. And
a hair
Fred
out.
Costello, supervisor from the town of Sorgaties. And it is time for birthdays. So what do we have, gentlemen?
So to start, I have happy birthday to Ronald Myers from Friends and Family.
And I have a very, very happy birthday to Andrea Harden from your friends and family.
And I have a happy birthday to Amanda Vandermark from your friends at the Orville Norman Mall Walker's Coffee Clutch.
Nice.
I also have a happy birthday to Pat Donahue from the Cruz family. What a good day. We had 4.
We have 4. That is awesome. And today's winner of the famous cow pie is Pat Donahue.
Is that our Pat Donahue?
I think so. Not 100% sure.
He's a former
So,
clerk
Pat
from
Donahue, congratulations. Happy birthday. When you get the opportunity, get down to Boy's Dairy Milk House, 62 O'Neill Street, right here in Kingston, New York. Pick up that famous cow pie, courtesy of Boy's Dairy Milk House and Kingston Community Radio. Listeners, viewers, it was great. 4 birthdays today. Keep sending in those birthdays. We don't want a cow pie to go to waste. Once again, Pat Donahue, happy birthday. Have an awesome day.
I want to steal a moment from yesterday. It was my Aunt Rose's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Aunt Rose.
Birthday, Aunt Rose. Yeah, Rose Rinaldi. She's creeping up on a milestone, so.
And for those listeners, I neglected to say, listeners and viewers who are unfamiliar with the process, it's very easy to get those to us. You can email to kcr921@gmail.com. You can postal mail, so George doesn't, I don't want to get George upset, postal mail to KCR at P.O. Box 4364, Kingston, New York, 12402. Because I know George is listening. He always does.
There you go.
He is a diehard listener. He's a big supporter of KCR, big supporter of law enforcement.
That's awesome. And where's George this morning? I haven't heard from him. Did he call in yet this morning?
He got almost an hour
I'm
left.
sure
I didn't hear from him this morning yet.
Probably will. He might be having a cup of
cup
tea
of
or
Have breakfast before he calls in.
There you go. So just so you know, we always have the WGHQ Happy Christmas Fund that comes up in November.
Familiar with
You're
that.
familiar with that because that's right, because you were a lieutenant when you had to probably help get some money for the captain at the time?
Well, yes, and the captain didn't key me in much about it, except, hey, turn on your radio, and I turned on my radio to hear...
how much you donated?
How much I donated, how much I didn't appear, and at Voices Dairy, and how I didn't... I was being... not made fun of, but there was a lot of jokes being kicked around about me not appearing. So this year there'll be some tomfoolery on my behalf.
Yes,
So
and don't be afraid to do that because we pick on each other like crazy, especially during that show.
Oh yes,
there's a lot of
Marianne
picking.
DeGroote
Good
is.
energy about that show.
Yes, it is.
Quite the
But I'll tell you, you don't have to bring a high chair in for me. That's getting old. They've done that probably 10 times already. So.
we have a padded one for him now. It just gets him up another inch or so higher. We have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Kingston Community Radio.
Good morning, gentlemen. How
There he is. Good morning, George.
doing? I like and I believe in law enforcement. You guys always do a great job, and you just don't get the respect and the appreciation that you people deserve. And hey, just to let you know, there are a lot of us out here who appreciate you guys and respect you guys.
George, I got to say something. I have to interject. It's only the minority of people that don't like the police and that say derogatory things about us. The majority of the people I find really do love the police. Unfortunately, the media pays more attention to the minority than the majority.
Exactly, and it's time that they start hearing a lot more from the majority.
There you go. I like that.
Last week, you guys came in very good up at Terry Bray Golf Course up in Loch Sheldrick, South Forsberg.
Now, what was that, George?
I was up there last week when you guys was on the air, and we had an 8:30 tee time, and you guys came in loud and clear on top of the mountain there.
Oh, the radio show. That's good to know.
Yes. So, but thank you guys. You guys keep up the good work and take care of our police officers and also take care of our veterans. So have a great day, gentlemen.
You do the same. Always good to hear from you. Have yourself an awesome day, George.
Okay, you guys too. Bye now.
So what do you think one of the most challenging things you've come across so far? What is one of the most challenging things that you've come across so far, being a captain now? If you can talk about it.
No, there's every day there's challenges. I think it's just making sure that, I have 114 troopers on the street that are safe. It's a big responsibility to feel responsible for every single one of them. It's a different level. When I had Captain Appleton or Andre Ray or Chris standing beside me and leading the way, it wasn't my first major concern. That's a major concern of mine, is making sure that they're safe first off, and that they're out there performing honorably every day, doing the mission of the Division of State Police. That's the biggest challenge. It's a machine that's been well-oiled prior to me being there, and it's Zone 3 and Troop F is a huge following, I could say. A lot of people who have either sat in my seat and are now currently in Albany led Zone 3 in my seat as a zone commander. So I have some really big shoes to fill, and sometimes that gets a little scary because, they still do live here. We have a lot of high-ranking members in the Division of State Police that live in Ulster County, and not many people know that.
So they got a close look, like a microscopic look at what their local captain's doing.
Well, yep, and my phone does ring, just like yours does, Chief. Maybe your supervisor calls on a time or two.
Oh, never. He never.
To tell you what you're doing right and wrong, but no, really, it's a hands-off approach, but yet I know, hey, we're going to make the state shine, especially Zone 3 will. So.
I love when he calls me, because I can tell just by the way he answers, or the way I'll answer the phone, I'll be like, hello, and if I hear a pause, then I know, uh-oh, there's a problem, because he's thinking about, you have a tell, because I know you're thinking about, how do I tell the chief this? Where other times, I just answer the phone, hello, and he's right away, we're just talking. So I always know when I hear that pause, you have a tell.
Right. So there isn't a moment where the phone rings, you pick it up, and there's just somebody screaming at the other end?
No, he's never done that. He can tell you, he's one of the most patient people.
I try hard not to lose my cool ever.
I think I've lost my cool a little bit more than you have.
Oh, yeah, I'd believe that.
Yeah.
Fred, what about me?
Same thing, man. We've always... I'm fortunate because I'm surrounded by you folks, and generally I have a lot of talent. So, of course there's going to be bumps in the roads, but we're all adults. And we talk about what we have to, and we figure it out. And I've been blessed overwhelmingly. And, every now and then you got to have a bad day to remind you how blessed you are on a good day. So
I remember Greg. I remember Greg Hellsmortal, either his last year or next to last year in office. He said to me, we're talking, reminiscing. He said, "You've really mellowed over the years." He said, "Do you remember that 4th of July when you threw me into the partition wall in the bathroom?"
Hey, you want to see him get mad though at a game? He's so funny because Cantine is his baby. You understand that, right?
Yeah, I've seen him around there a lot.
Yeah, Cantine's his baby. So the other night, actually it was last week, we're at a game, right? We're watching a game, and that pitcher was digging a trench.
He was running the mount?
And he was losing his mind. It was so funny. And they ended up stopping the game because the umpires went out there after a while. They stopped the game, and they had to have your grounds crew come out and repair it.
He had the audacity, after he dug that hole, stood there and dug that hole, to call out the umpire and point out the hole.
I know.
And then he told Rich Doobie, the coach for the Sorgate's Dutchman, who's been a professional pitcher, two World Series rings?
Yeah, he's been around a week or two.
That it was the worst, I can't say it on the air, mound he's ever pitched on.
Oh, that was funny, but it was funny because
Looking
as
for an excuse
soon as the
because he's
kid called
having a
the,
bad day.
as soon as the pitcher called the ump out, he came out of his seat so fast. I never saw anybody. It was like it was a rocket attached to his butt. He just
But then
flew out of that
the
seat.
chief comes down to me, pats me on the shoulder. I'm just standing there talking to Ronnie Kelder, Coach Kelder, right? And he says, the chief said, "Did you see how he dug that hole?" I actually, you kind of made me a little speechless. I should have actually said to you, "Do you think I'm blind?"
I like to wind things up sometimes.
I'm noticing
Oh
this.
boy, you wind up a little bit.
Cast the hook out there.
It's
and
always
fit.
fun to see how high I get his
Are
blood
you
pressure.
blushing a little bit over there?
It's blood pressure.
Oh God!
Well, you know what? That's a piece of pride. You take pride in that field, and running the complex. And when somebody you believe in your mind is disrespecting it, you call them out.
Just like you, and yourself with your business. I've got a great team, and I'm very, very fortunate to have a great team. And they take a lot of pride and a lot of dedication in what they do. And I believe one of the field supervisors that I had, yes, was on site for that game as part of the contract we have with the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League, and then the Stallions bought the franchise. We have to have two individuals on call during the games. So that individual, I'll mention Joe Dittis, takes a tremendous amount of pride and the dedication in not just that field, the entire complex. So it's almost like he was slapping them in the face. And I looked at Joe, and he was standing up also, and I forget who was on with him, but I just couldn't believe he went out there. What happened is they changed pitchers, and he started to dig the hole with his spikes. Now we used it's waterless technology clay, where you don't need. It's got its own polymers. It's hard as a rock. It's difficult for large holes to form, and he just
persistently dug.
And then, like I said, had the audacity to call the umpire out and have it repaired. Just.
Well, he was getting hit off it too. That kid.
He's having a bad day.
He was having a bad day. He was getting hit off. I think he was looking for an excuse as to why they were hitting off.
Yeah, and it was good because then the next pitch hit a triple, and a couple batters later knocked it out of the park.
Yes,
that was awesome.
Good game. So,
okay, moving on here. Let's get.
I thought I heard the sheriff coming in. I heard somebody out there in the next room, so I thought it was the sheriff. I moved my mic over.
He is coming, right?
He's coming. He texted. He said he'd be here. He said he had a late night last night. I told him he needs to stop staying at the bar so late.
Well, in his defense, we were at the Kingston community meeting last evening, and that ran a little late, and so which is fine. They generally.
But I see you made it here on time.
Well, I set the alarm, and here I am.
Sleep.
Yeah. Barely sleep.
Yeah.
Now, Andre Ray, the captain prior to you.
Fantastic man.
The guy that was here for 2 weeks.
Andre was here for 70 days.
70 days? He must have some vacation in it. Did you think it was that long?
No, I did not. I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah, I thought he was only here for a couple of weeks. That was the quickest turnaround I ever saw in the state police with promotions.
Well, Chris Gilroy was the quickest in my mind.
Oh, no, that's who I'm thinking.
You're thinking 8, yes.
Yes. But when Andre Ray was here, he was on the sheriff all the time about being late.
So I don't know if they're both listening, but we can congratulate them as well. So on June 24th, they both got their permanent rank of captain as well.
That's awesome.
They're both promoted.
Now, so Captain Ray now is up in Albany is the Capitol?
Yeah, so the state capitol, we have what's called G4. It's the 4th zone in Troop G. G is the Albany area. Goes almost up to the Lake George area. So it's a large area as well. But there's an actual capitol division that is underneath near where the egg is and the state buildings, and he's manning that. He's heading that up for Troop G.
Good for him.
Yeah,
and then Gilroy
Gilroy's in what we call K1, so Troop K, the other side of the Hudson River, and he's in Livingston Barracks. So we'll probably talk more than often.
Valley,
yeah, still Hudson Valley, and remember, right across the Rip Van Winkle is the Catskill region, which is my SB Catskill office and Coxsackie. So I know that we'll be talking pretty frequently because, unfortunately, crimes that occur on either side, people like to cross the bridge, think they're out of our reach, but we have a long arm.
Nice. It's something you don't. It's obvious, but you don't realize it until have a responsibility folks that break the law do not respect town boundaries, state boundaries, county boundaries, do what they do, and they do it everywhere.
I think it goes back to the Dukes of Hazzard. Remember that show where they would go out of the next county and then the sheriff would have to stop? That just doesn't happen.
And they taunt them.
They didn't have a close pursuit policy back then. That's so funny.
No.
So you're liking the command. I can see it.
I'm enjoying it, and you know what? You guys all spoke of something that resonated in my brain was the reason the four of us are successful in our current positions is because of the wonderful people below us that do an incredible job every day. And you know that, and I know in my position, I don't have to question what they're doing. I know they're doing it every day, and the reason why we're so successful is because of them. I've heard commanders say this before, and not just in my position. And, in the local grocery store when I started out as 16, it's like, because of you guys, we're successful. And I'm like, I'm just a stock. I just stock the shelves. But they're right. It's about the people that are out there doing the work every day. Exactly. I have great troopers, excellent sergeants, and even better zone sergeants. And my lieutenant, Bernie Davis, which someday I'll drag him in here, Greene County boy, I like to call him. He's my Greene County guy. Really complete the team. So having a great team is where it's at.
Yes,
it's very, very critical. It's very, very important. We're just one person. We happen to hold a higher position, but that title doesn't mean really anything. And you're not going to be successful unless you have a dedicated team. And to take that a step further, we talk about all the successful events. We talked about the 4th of July. We talked about the parade. We talked about the Sawyer Motors car show. And you heard me say this, and you've heard me say this so many times. Success comes about as a result of a team effort amongst many entities. Okay, the biggest one that you can point to is the Garlic Festival. I think that meeting that we generally have before the Garlic Festival, there's either 23 or 27 different entities all working together. That's the only reason we're able to pull something off like that. And, I know other communities look at Sorgeties and wonder how we're able to do what we do, but it's a team effort. The 4th of July was a success. The traffic was a success. Why? Because it was a team effort. Sorgeties Police, State Police, Sheriff, NCON. I don't know if you had DEC police there.
Nope, just the four that you named. Yeah.
So it's
DEC helps out with the
Garlic Festival.
Yeah, and that's DEP actually. Yeah.
Or DEP.
Same difference.
DEC,
yep. DEP. Well, I shouldn't say same difference because NCON really falls under DEC. DEP is actually out of New York City. Yeah. So they're actually separate, but they all have the same mission as we do.
But it's all about team. It's it's and that's what breeds success.
I always appreciate when people say, "Chief, you're doing a great job," and I'm like, "It's not me. It's the people under me. It's my captain, my lieutenant. They do the great job with the administration, and then it's all my road sergeants that keep the rank and file, moving forward and completing the mission of the day. And that's really what it comes down to, and that is where success comes from, without a doubt.
A big piece of our mission, with our success, is keeping the community safe. I see Kingston Community Radio and the one safety piece, and I know the sheriff's coming in, so I'm not going to steal his thunder, but what I'd like to talk about is some of the summer things that we've seen that have been on the rise, and it's a bit alarming. There's been a lot of people out and about and swimming, and I've seen an uptick in here he is.
No.
There he is. Hey, Sheriff.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning, Sheriff.
Bust my chops, huh?
Glad to see you could join us again. Well, Andre Ray's not here to do it, so he texted me and he said you got to get on the Sheriff. So, and you and I get to share a mic because of that. So get him over.
So we
vaccinated as you are, so we're good to go.
Bringing it in.
That mic's available.
You got to take that mic right.
Oh, there you go. All right, so you get your own mic.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, just bring the whole thing.
You could just grab the mic if you want. You could be like Frank Sinatra.
There you go.
Sing us a little song.
We'll sing. You can do a little singing there for us.
Gonna belt one out.
Morning, everybody.
So for our listeners, our viewers who are streaming, Juan Figueroa, Ulster County Sheriff. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I heard the comments on the way up. Thank you.
Well, we didn't forget about you. We didn't forget about you.
I was with the captain yesterday, but that wasn't really what I realized is I'm not mechanically inclined. I never really was, but my AC unit upstairs wasn't working, and it was cool enough yesterday that I can get up in the attic. So I put the ladder up. I went up to the attic because my AC, the guy, the company that works on it, 2 weeks before they showed up.
Before you could come and look at it.
I got up there and I started tinkering around with it, and no, it's still not working.
Good try,
Well,
though.
next thing you know, it's, I don't know, midnight, 1 o'clock. I went to sleep. I had to put the window AC in the window for my room. And that's that.
They're almost like camping.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're loud, though, aren't they?
It really is.
We had ours on last night, and that's all I could hear is that stupid thing humming. Like,
keeps you up more than anything.
keeps you up more
So
than anything.
the the captain was talking about, which I think was interesting, some trends that they're seeing here locally that are concerning.
Yeah, so I know in Sullivan County in the last 2 weeks we have had 3 drownings. Last I knew, they were recovering in a recovery effort for the last unfortunate victim out there, and that's just Sullivan County. The sheriff and I and the town of Saugerties and town of Ulster were there at the Hudson River more than a few weeks ago, and that was a tragic event as well. But we met with the Central Hudson people earlier last week, and we talked about that particular swimming hole in High Falls and the steps that they're doing to try and eliminate the possibility of people drowning. But we're still having some difficulty with people trespassing and attempting to swim in a rather dangerous body of water.
It is, and especially if you don't know how to swim. And these young kids that are going there to High Falls, the last, I believe, 3 were young kids that just didn't know how to swim, and they happen to be minorities too, which is, to me, concerning. People from New York City don't necessarily swim, or people in inner cities don't swim. But if you live up here, I mean, you go up to swimming holes, you kind of learn and you kind of grow up swimming. So if you don't know how to swim, don't go in the water. Simple as that. And it's it's a tragedy, and it's sad. Thank God, and I'm gonna knock on wood here. I think that's wood. That nothing's happened so far in High Falls. But the last couple have been very, very tragic. I was at the last. The one kid was from Plattekill, and then the other kid was a basketball.
Chris
individual, a great athlete here from Kingston, and it's very, very sad. And I definitely don't want to see that again. Hats off to Central Hudson for stepping up and actually putting a new process in place with folks out there to watch, because that wasn't in place before. And there's a community group out there that's really, really involved. I've met with them as well. And, it's we're just hoping, we're in the middle of the summer now, that we don't have any tragedies this summer. If you don't know how to swim, don't go in the water.
Well,
with a lot of those swimming, I'm sorry.
No.
A lot of those swimming holes, there's an inherent risk as well getting there. You're going on a trail. It's not well marked. It's slippery. And I remember growing up here, we in some cases we learn those lessons through a tragedy. And, one of our fields is named after an individual that I grew up with who lost his life on the not swimming but getting to the swimming hole. So, we were blessed by the older folks being mentors, taking us there and explaining, hey, you have to be careful here. You can't jump unless that part is clear. And it was kind of a pass the torch sort of thing. But the thing I notice now is there'll be an internet story about this great swimming hole, and then people will come from all over the Northeast to go there and not have any of that innate knowledge and just show up. And, they'll climb down there in flip-flops and not be prepared for the day, and they'll bring glass with them, and they'll not know the kind of protocol about when you go and when you don't go, because you have 6 or 7 opportunities to jump into the same hole. If you all jump at the same time, it's going to be catastrophic.
You're right. Social media, especially last year with the pandemic, and I'm sure the captain and the chief can tell you, all the swimming holes were inundated.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen 4455 with a 1-lane road, and that's exactly what was happening. Even during the week, I went up to the Blue Hole, and I mean there were folks from, New York City, from Brooklyn, and I'm like, well, how'd you find out about this place? Well, social media.
Yeah, they just hold up their phone, and this is how we got here. Yeah.
The mountain road was the same thing from Palinville up to Tannersville.
And that's still a challenge this year we're addressing as well. And Minnewaska, we had members up there this past weekend for the holiday. And luckily, and you can knock on the wood for me, Sheriff, but it has been less occupied as last year, but there's still always that danger. So one of the important things, we're focusing on swimming holes that are dangerous, right, to climb down to. And you're right, everybody who goes swimming doesn't come with hiking shoes. They come with flip-flops, which is horrible. When one of my senior diver, Kevin Gardner, who unfortunately has the horrible task of being in charge of the recovery efforts, he said something that was prolific to me. He goes, I've never pulled out a victim that was wearing a life vest. So what we need to tell the community is wear a life vest. That Hudson River incident, tragic as it was, that child would be alive if she had a life vest on. So it's not just the swimming holes with the undertow like we see in High Falls that pulls people down. You know, the Hudson River is dangerous. Your local creek can be dangerous because you don't know what's around the next bend. It could be a steep drop-off. So put on a vest. If you're not a strong swimmer, put on a vest. Have a friend with you. Make sure you stay within arm's reach of each other. Those are important things to do.
That's a great point. I went up at the beginning of the season up to Albany, and they had the National Boat Safety Week. And, went up on the boat. We have 2 boats on the river. And we'll give out personal floating devices. All you have to do is, because some boaters don't have enough equipment, and when they get stopped, that's an infraction. But we'll give them the personal floating devices. All they have to do is drop it off at a marina. It's a borrowed, you borrow it and then bring it back, and that's something that the New York State Sheriff's Association put together with Parks and Recreations of the state of New York, and it's been working great. And there's no excuse, really. I mean, and you're right. 86%, I believe, of people that drowned in the Hudson River did not have a vest on.
So I get just a quick question, last minute here. So do you have to have enough floating devices for each individual or a percentage?
Each individual on the boat.
Okay. So 100%. Good.
Yep.
Good to know.
As you should.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the only other thing I would just want to mention to people is because we've had a couple of events recently in Sorority, and I'm sure it's happening all over Ulster County. Just remember that driving under the influence also includes the use of ATVs and motorcycles. We had a really bad crash that occurred 4th of July up in Sorority. We had to fly one person out. The other one had to go by ambulance, and the one individual is still in critical condition. So I just remind people don't mix alcohol with operating all-terrain vehicles, motorcycles. You should never get on any machinery.
And jet skis.
And jet skis, yeah. You see the same thing out in the river. Yep.
People aren't familiar with the boating while intoxicated section, but it's there.
Yes.
You will be arrested if you're intoxicated.
And the river is definitely patrolled.
It's the same tolerances for DWI on the water as it is for driving while intoxicated? 08?
Yeah, this is a great question because I haven't written that section well. I'd have to look at the navigation.
The BAC equivalencies are the same because it's operating a motor vehicle. And if I'm not mistaken, boats are considered motor vehicles.
Correct.
Yeah, so it'd be the same BAC.
Obviously, it's a little bit difficult there's no lines on the river.
Right, yeah. Can you walk a straight line, please?
So, I mean,
a lot of times you find out because a tragedy occurs.
Exactly.
Right,
That's exactly.
And, the ticket's
you find
not
out
going
when somebody
restore someone's life.
Absolutely, it's too late.
A little hard to say the boat was weaving.
Yep. There's a tragedy on the river, and when you go to speak to the captain on the boat, and he's got too much to drink, and that's the problem. And we're just getting out of a pandemic. Everybody's out and about. By the way, the 4th of July, I know we're at the top of the break here.
Oh, we are.
We didn't get the cue yet, though.
We didn't get the cue.
We didn't get the cue yet.
No, so we'll just keep going. We'll steal time.
But I wanted to say that what a tremendous 4th of July parade up in Saugerties you guys put together. That was amazing.
Well, the Village Fire Department does that, and they do a terrific job.
Saugerties Fire Department. There's a lot of work and effort, just like with everything, prior to, with preparatory work, and then lining every single piece of apparatus, every person, every float, every band.
This is my 3rd one, and this, to me, was the most folks that I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing.
Everybody.
I saw Greg on his lawn.
No, that wasn't my lawn. That was Tom Spears' lawn. That is always a great place to watch it.
That's another spot, though. You can't go there and not have a hot dog.
Right,
But it was a great turnout. Great job to all you folks up in Saugerties that put that together, because that was a tremendous parade, and I was just honored to be there. I saw the chief working up there.
Team effort once again. I
wasn't messing around, and so it was a great effort by all the folks up there. It really was. The captain was there too.
Yeah, I was there, a little hidden behind a couple fire. One of your pieces of apparatus, the boat. But I do have to say, we point out the great job done to organize it and stuff, but the people. My first time, so sorry. I'll make sure that next year I have a better showing. But the people that line the streets, we have to just say something about that. They were wonderful.
Yeah,
they were.
I didn't get into the trenches with your people and the sheriff's office with, hey, were there any problems? The drunk and disorderly.
No, let me tell you, I'm going to clear that right now. We had nobody got arrested.
Awesome.
That includes the fireworks that evening. That's why I said at the beginning of the show, I thank the public. Our events are successful because of the people that come to Sororities and participate in those events, and because of the people that live in Sororities. Very respectful. I've never had a year where we've had any real issues occur during 4th of July parade or the car show or the Garlic Festival. They've all been very, very docile events.
Well, there were people from all over the county at this parade.
Absolutely. I was about to
all
say.
over the county.
It was pretty cool.
Well, did any other community have a parade on the 4th in
There
Ulster
used to be
County?
one.
No, I didn't.
That was it. I think you're right. Oh, no, Shandaken had one.
Okay.
They did have one in
And
Shandaken.
the only other one that had fireworks that I'm aware of was Ellenville, right? On the actual 4th?
Well, there were fireworks everywhere, but maybe not organized.
Well, yes, yeah, an organized
Maybe
fire.
a lot
yes.
of calls on those.
Yes. Maybe
All
we're
right.
not going.
Hey,
for
maybe
it.
maybe we get another 30 minutes.
Changed too, though. The
Lawrence, where art thou?
the allowance, the
Lawrence,
enabling
are you
law
there?
that allowed.
How are we doing time-wise, Lawrence?
I've been waiting for you guys to stop talking.
Well,
Do you want to go to break?
You usually give us
Or do
the
you want to
cue.
keep going? It's up to you.
Well,
No,
do we need a break or no?
Well, and how about in fairness to our sponsors? Don't
Okay,
we
sounds
need
good.
to break for that?
So we'll be back in a few minutes.
Thanks, sponsors.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Central Hudson reminds you that summer thunderstorms can strike with strong, gusty winds, knocking down trees and power lines. If you see a downed power line, call 911 immediately to report it. Power lines can carry an electric current strong enough to cause injury or death. Stay at least 30 feet away from a fallen line. Don't try to move it or anything that has come in contact with it. And never drive over a power line. Remember, your safety matters.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His parents could only hope that one day he would leave the hospital healthy, and they would all live happily ever after. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year. You can help the March of Dimes stop premature birth and bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, listeners who have been with us this morning. And we are in our last half hour already. 331-9255 is our call-in number. In the studio here is Sorgady's Police Chief Joe Sinager, our new state police captain Mario Restifo, and Sheriff Juan Figueroa. Geez, I got the honor of sitting next to the sheriff here of Ulster County because Fred has departed to take care of some business that he has to do.
So while we're
I don't
on break,
sew.
Yeah, while we're on break, you don't
sew or do windows. Well, you said
what's his
sew.
name? While we were on break, I actually was able to work a little charm on the sheriff, but he was very receptive and has agreed to give us a deputy for the 20th. And I just want to remind our listeners that in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from yesterday.
Yep.
July 20th, there's a Stallions game at Cantine Field, and the county is putting on a first responders night. Pat Ryan, and we were planning on doing a similar thing, so we have combined our efforts together, and along with CSX and the Children's First Responder Foundation and Sawyer Motors and Ulster County, there's going to be a first responder night. And what does that mean? It means if you show up with ID and your family, everybody gets in for free, you eat and drink for free, and every child will receive a toy. Thanks to the generosity of Children's First Responder Foundation. I have to make sure I mention this. Sawyer Motors, because they were the underwriter.
Sawyer Motors? Sawyer sponsoring something?
Sawyer Motors, I found out,
Great,
actually, they paid $4,000 for the delivery of those toys. The tractor trailer, they underwrote it. So they
really care about
they do
the
it.
community. Hats off to them.
Yes, and CSX made a very sizable donation, as they do every year. And, or actually, I should say they do for every event that the Children's First Responders Foundation puts on. They're one of their biggest supporters. So you'll always see a CSX logo associated with the First Responders. Children's
I
Foundation.
never knew that up
Who's
until
playing
last
that
year.
night, by the way? I know it's.
I think they're playing Amsterdam, aren't they? Or is it
the
Albany?
Stallions?
It's either Albany or Amsterdam.
I think it's Albany. It is Albany.
I think it's Albany, yeah.
So they were at the parade, and when they got off the, they're all like 6'2", 6'5".
The Stallions.
Like,
The Stallions,
I'm like, I'm like, hey, is there anybody that's short on a team?
They're all he's drafted. He drafted quite a team. Most of them are D1 starters.
Yeah, they're definitely athletes. There's no question about that.
And the two from LSU. Well, if you go to LSU, you got to be a good ball player.
So remember, the game is at 7 o'clock. Gates open at 6:30. So we hope to see all the first responders out there. It'll cost you nothing. You can take the family out for a great time at the ballpark.
Are you going, Captain?
Eat, have refreshments, and get a free toy for your child.
Good.
And suggest you do a ride. I think the gates are going to open at 6:15.
6:15, okay.
Because of the crowd that's anticipated. And the Stallions, Kevin Hinchy, the franchise owner, they have been drawing some big crowds just for regular games. So if you want a good seat, get there early and don't rush. Get a good parking spot, and it's going to be a great night.
You may even want to bring a lawn chair with you because there's a great area off to the side of the bleachers.
Picnic area. Yep. Many do that. 4th of July by 5 o'clock after the parade was over. They were all lined up. They were all empty, but everybody got there. They put their lawn chairs and reserved their seat.
So it'll be a good time. So again,
bad
Sheriff, I
seeing
thank
that.
you for your generosity by giving me a deputy, and to Captain Restivo for giving us a trooper for the evening.
We're going to show up as well.
Yeah, I'll be there.
It's a good time.
Hey, listen, I love baseball. My son played for Kingston High, and it's a wonderful pastime. I've had many games with Kingston High School baseball at Cantine Field on your big field there, and I have some wonderful
memories.
memories.
It's a great field, too. It's a great field.
What about Zach Short? Talking about baseball and local people?
Yeah, last night hit his second home run with the Detroit Tigers to help them beat the Rangers, I believe it was.
Now, was that last night or the night before?
Well,
because it's a Freeman, so I would suggest it was probably the night before.
Yeah,
I think the game was
Freeman,
still going on when that paper came out.
Yeah,
I just got to say, I think it was
Monday
the night
night,
before. Yeah.
Monday night.
Monday night.
Because the Freeman is it's day old news.
Yeah, tremendous play though, shortstop.
Yes,
I think it
sure.
was
I was
in the
gonna
top
say.
10, right? I think it was
Not
number
just
8.
counting
in his first game.
Yeah.
Yeah, in his first game. And then the other.
No, the other night. The same night he had that home run.
Oh, no
Oh,
fooling.
he had a tremendous play. Yeah, tremendous
Off the middle,
play.
he dove, grabbed it, shuffled it off to the second baseman, and it was an incredible play.
He had a little bobble last night, but he was able to get the player out at second, and he's a good kid.
Yeah,
real
no,
good
and
player.
his parents should be very proud. I love the first game when he was called up, where they were interviewing Wayne, and I'm sorry, his wife is her name is. I just can't remember.
Jeez, I can't think of it
So,
either.
but anyhow,
Mrs. Short.
Mrs. Short, yes.
always works.
Sorry, I'm sure I'm going to hear
glad
about
I'm not
this.
the only one that does that stuff, forget names.
I'm sure my wife is going to make fun of me because I see him all the time.
We were watching the game last night, and Wayne was there.
Yeah, okay.
We were at 12 scale, and he has a son, Trevor, right?
No,
Doesn't-
not Trevor.
What's his one kid's name? He had the youngest. I think it was the youngest son
He
he
has
had with.
two younger sons, right?
Right. I thought. Yeah, for some reason.
Brady.
Brady. Okay.
And trying to remember he played with my son Thomas. He went to Siena first, and then he went.
Now,
to
would
a
Brady
different
be the
college.
youngest?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So it had to be Brady then. Okay, my mistake.
Brady is still on the Kingston High team. I believe he's a senior this coming year.
Okay.
If I'm mistaken.
But it's funny, it's when you think about it. Here, you're sitting there, you're watching a game, and then there's one of the players that and I can't say I personally know Zach. I don't personally know him, but I know his dad, and he beat my butt in golf a couple weeks ago. His dad's obviously an awesome golfer, and so actually all the kids are really good golfers. And I can remember years ago, his kids going up to the club, and they would get dropped off in the morning, and they would just all day long be out on the golf course playing. And I think for a while there, some of them actually worked on the greens. They worked as part of the greens crew.
Yeah, it's a great job for a young kid, right?
And
Get out
Wayne
there,
was
hit
what?
some
He
balls.
was a pro over at Wilwick, I think, for a period of time as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. No.
I believe he was, yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was, right? Yeah. Yep.
And Sorgady's native, Tom Hallion, got named as the crew chief and home plate umpire for the All-Star game in Denver. Tom's had quite a career. I went to school with Tom, graduated with him, played sports together, and he's done real well for himself. That's quite an honor, being named crew chief and home plate umpire for the All-Star game.
So, Sheriff, what do we got up on the horizon? What do we got coming up here? We still got summer still here, thank God.
I went to the National Sheriff's Association conference in Phoenix, and it was quite eye-opening, actually. With 2,300 sheriffs out of the 3,080 that are in the country. And a lot of trends that we see locally here are actually going on in other parts in the country. Everything from restructuring bail to legalization of marijuana. So this is a national trend. The other troubling trend that was spoke about at one of the classes that I went to was that of excited delirium and the arrest of law enforcement involving excited delirium. And the main point of that was that, if there's obviously the person that's naked, that's walking and it's incoherent and has a high dose of drugs that they're under, to make sure you call an ambulance and keep them in the rescue position, rather up and his back up against a cement wall or a tree or a tire rather than him or her laying down. So there's a troubling trend that's going on in the country in the prosecution of law enforcement involving excited delirium, and that is a troubling trend. I was kind of surprised at it, to be honest with you, in particular happening down south in the southern states. So it was an interesting 1 week out there in Phoenix. I actually went out there to speak about Oracle and what we're doing here in New York and in Ulster County, and what our neighbors in Pennsylvania are doing, and they were really excited to hear from me and what we were doing here in Ulster County with all of us in law enforcement. They were amazed at the cooperation. And we do have something special here in Ulster County. There's no question about it. We all get to talk and really come up with game plans, whether it's the chief or the captain or even the sheriff's office, and our meetings that we have once a month. That doesn't happen in a lot of places. And when I told the sheriffs that, it was they were like, wow, we don't have that same type of cooperation that we do, because it's so busy in certain areas of the country. They just don't have time to meet like that.
But something, I think that's probably, it would be beneficial for them to meet like that, because I think that's why we're successful here, because you broke down, the barriers get broken down between the agencies. I remember how much different the job was when I first came on. Everything was very territorial. Now it's all of our territory. And I think that was fostered through the fact that we had a Chiefs Association where everybody could sit down at the table and talk and say, look, this was a problem or that was a problem, and then realize it wasn't a problem. We all have the same objective at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
As the captain said, keeping our community safe. That's really our primary function.
I've heard on this radio show over the years, time and time again, from people that had sat right in the chair that you're sitting in the position, going back to Jim Michael, Bobby Nuzzo, Pat Regan, of the uniqueness of Ulster County and the neighboring counties, and the cooperation that, in other parts of the state where they had been, the North Country, I forget which one of them had been in the North Country, it was almost non-existent, to think that police agencies work together. I can remember, and again, I don't remember if it was Nuzzo or Michael, stating that there was actually local agencies that were worried about having their toes stepped on, so to speak, where obviously that is completely non-existent here in Ulster County. And I don't want to just say Ulster County, because obviously you've got Greene County, you've got how many counties in your
just the two for
Ulster,
my area
Ulster
of responsibility. Yeah, no, I think and again, the chief has been around a little longer and the sheriff than I have been, but I know that if it was Major Michael or now Staff Inspector Michael or now retired Colonel Nuzzo, I would watch those guys and they would pick up the phone on a moment's notice and call the sheriff or call the local police chief And it wasn't just because there was a crime that was happening or something was occurring. It was, hey, can we get together and have breakfast? And that's an important piece to just keep the lines of communication open. So when an incident happens, we all come together for the one common goal, and that is to get the job done, keep the citizens safe, and make sure that whoever is in danger is no longer in danger.
Kind of like when you're on vacation, you get a phone call from the Saugerties police chief.
Yes, and that's one of the drawbacks. Not just having one phone, I have two, and they ring all the time.
What are you doing? I'm on vacation. Oh, darn, you told me that. I forgot.
That's a rarity vacation, isn't it?
It is.
And I called him. I called him early in the morning.
But did I ever hang up on you?
No, you answered the phone.
Yeah.
And after I started my dissertation, you said, I'm on vacation this week. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Well, no, it was just, I sort of feel bad. I want to be there to make sure the job gets done. But I know, the bench is deep. I call my lieutenant or I call one of my zonies or a sergeant, hey, this is what I need done. And without a question, it's done. And they know from the top down, just like the other agencies sitting to my left and right, if someone asks from another agency, we're going to get it done, period. If there's no questions asked. Get it done because there's a purpose for the request. Right. Do it.
I remember the time I was in San Diego for our national conference. This is going back when Louis Barbaria was
Louis Barbaria.
Yes. There you go.
So a couple minutes after 4 a.m, my phone rang. Okay, I think I went to bed that night a little after midnight, and it was Louis. Obviously, I did not get up to answer it because by the time I did, it didn't wake me up immediately. So I called him. I said, thanks a lot for the wake-up call at 4 a.m. And I emailed him too, and he forgot that I was out on the West Coast, and there was a 3-hour time difference. He said, well, you're always in by 7.
I don't know, maybe I'm unique to these two gentlemen, but I know once the phone rings, I can get the job done, and I have a great ability to just fall right back to sleep. So.
Not me.
And I don't.
I do.
I don't.
You do too?
Oh, I can't.
I never have a problem falling asleep. I sleep very deeply. I live right next to the Malden West Camp Firehouse. And years ago, that siren was 3 minutes. Now it just rings 3 times. And I can remember another driver on the other side, Richie Pesh Sr., saying, where were you last night? And I said, I was out for a bit, and I was home. Why? He said, at 2 a.m. I said, I was sleeping at 2 a.m. I slept through the fire siren.
Nice.
Yeah, not me. I'm a light sleeper.
But when I wake up, that's it. I can't fall back to sleep.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
You two are lucky. You two are lucky.
Sorry. I'll take it.
There was a day last week, actually, that I got a call around 11:30 at night. And I'm like, yeah, I'll see you there first thing in the morning. And then I started thinking what the person said. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's a processing moment you have to have. You have to have a processing moment.
I had to get up and jump in the shower and go. And I was like, oh, boy.
And I've made those same phone calls. You get an early morning one.
I was out there.
Yeah, we were out there till the sun almost came up. But yeah, you'll get that phone call.
Absolutely.
And you got to process first, and then you go, wait a second.
Yeah. Did you just say? I'm like, okay. I guess I got to head out.
So I was going to say, one of the things the sheriff had mentioned that he took back from the conference was about excited delirium syndrome. And that's something that really the public should be educated on. I don't think they understand it. There's probably, for most people, probably first time they're hearing it. It's something that we've known that's existed for a number of years in law enforcement. And it does seem to be more prevalent now than ever before.
The drugs, absolutely.
Right, with the drugs. And sometimes when we have the in-custody deaths, in our nation with law enforcement, people are quick to react and say that the person died as a result of police action, when really it's the excited delirium syndrome that caused her death.
It's the high dosage. It's the high dosage of narcotics that are in their system that caused it, and it's just there's a lot of drugs out there that are doing this to a lot of people, and I think. I told my guys yesterday, we did in-service training, that, you're going to call an ambulance. I mean, because people look at it, wait a minute, the guy's walking against traffic, what crime did he commit? And then all of a sudden you cuff him because, first of all, he's got the strength of 5 human beings because of the drugs that he's on. Mm-hmm. And then it takes a few, folks to restrain. And next thing you know, the individual passes away. So it's a big issue. Because the first thing they were going to say is that law enforcement overreacted, but in reality, it's the high dosage of narcotics that was in his system. So I basically did a quick training, and I'll be more than happy to email it to you because I got it from a Captain Bostic from Louisiana Parish who actually taught the class out at the National Sheriff's Association PowerPoint. And I went through it yesterday in the in-service training to just tell our folks that, and they say, even if you got to get 5 guys, 1 person per limb, secure him, and once he's secured, stand him, sit him up against something,
Right.
and call an ambulance. And he got to get medical attention immediately. It saves lives, and it saves
Sure
a
does.
lot of issues, and everything's on body cam now, so we can see what we done, rather than cuff the guy. And there was one instance down in Louisiana where he was hogtied, and
Yeah, you can't do that.
no, absolutely not. And that's exactly what happened. And it was a tragic situation. Look, no one gets up in this profession to say today, someone's going to die because
Right.
of my actions. That's not what happens. And so we have to train our folks every single day so these things don't occur to them, because we're ultimately responsible as leaders to make sure that doesn't happen to any of our folks.
Right, exactly.
So I'm going to exit right now. I have a meeting that I need to attend in Middletown. So
Yep, you said you
can't
would
be
go
late.
early.
New major. I don't want to be
Yes,
the
yes,
last
you
guy
can't do
standing.
that.
All right, thank you all. Thank you for the
Hey, thank
opportunity
you.
to be here. I enjoyed it, and
Pleasure, and we look
20th, I'll
forward
see
to
you.
it
20th.
every
Yep.
month on the first Wednesday.
All right, I know. I've been told I have an obligation. I'll
Best
be
of
here.
luck and success.
Thank
There you go.
All right, you guys continue. The
Thanks
good
again,
work.
Captain.
I'll see
Have
you.
a good day.
So you guys had another meeting in the city last night or no?
Yeah, we have one every Tuesday night.
Every Tuesday night?
Other Tuesday.
Every other.
Every
And where
other
did you meet
Tuesday.
last night?
Hasbrook Park.
Nice. Did you get good turnout or?
It was about 10 folks there. I guess people saw that it looked like it was going to rain really bad yesterday.
Yeah.
But it's under the pavilion there, so But there were some folks there, and it's a open dialogue on either current events or something that occurred with local law enforcement, whether it's the city of Kingston, the state police, or the sheriff's office, and it gets brought up so it doesn't linger.
Right.
And it's been successful. It wasn't easy at first, I could tell you. It's been going on for over a year now. And, interestingly enough, the folks that are running this, it's like Harambe and Alderwoman Rita Worthington, and they've gotten pushback from their own community for participating in this. I give them a lot of credit. The purpose of this was because of the blue and gray patrols. That's how it started.
Right.
And there was a big outcry that we were targeting African Americans in the city of Kingston. It's an African American community, and that's where most of the shootings were occurring. And although the majority of the folks that were stopped for vehicle and traffic stops were actually Caucasian males, but it was an interesting look. 10 weeks there were no homicides. We did have a couple of shootings, but there were no homicides. So to me, it was a success. There were others and I actually walked the community with the chief and Rita Worthington and the captain, who was a lieutenant at the time. We did that at least 2 or 3 times, and most of the folks in the community were happy that we were there. And I spoke to the community themselves, but there's that one contingent that just, no matter what you say or do, aren't going to be.
Seen, unfortunately, and I mentioned this earlier on the radio before he had come in about the fact that George had called in and he was talking about how, law enforcement. And as I mentioned to him, it's the minority of people that have an issue with law enforcement. It's not the majority. And the unfortunate thing in today's society is that the media plays right into the minority, and that's who's getting all the coverage. And I think so. I think my people see it. It's not as bad as the national news media portrays it to be with
No
law
way.
enforcement.
And it's an overwhelming majority.
Right.
It's not just a slim majority. It's an overwhelming majority. But that's how you sell newspapers. That's how you sell news. There has to be the drama. There has to be the controversy.
I mean, look, the truth is there is a history of law enforcement and people of color that were treated differently than.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
It's a history.
Yeah, we can't say that didn't occur. Well, that did occur.
Oh, it did occur. I agree 100%.
And that's why the people are reacting the way that they do. We all have individuals within our own agencies that sometimes make mistakes, or it's a training issue. But we don't have the issues that we have in other parts of the country. We don't. I can tell you for our office, every now and then we'll get something that comes up that needs to be handled, and we handle it. Again, our jobs are to make sure that what happens in other parts of the country doesn't happen here.
Right.
You saw what happened on the thruway. That was one of the questions last night about the incident that occurred on the thruway with the state police. And there was an article from the Daily News that stated that somebody had stated that it was targeting African Americans from the city of Kingston. Well, it was a throughway trooper, had nothing to do with Troop F whatsoever. And it's difficult at night to know whether somebody is white, Hispanic, or Asian when they're driving a car. So I don't know about the targeting aspect. It was a tragedy that occurred, that's for sure. Nobody wants to see anything like that from a vehicle or traffic stop. Obviously, the Attorney General's office is investigating that.
Right.
I don't have any details on that, but I can say that it had nothing to do with what the Blue and Gray Patrol was doing in the city of Kingston.
Right, and I think in the majority of stops, I think that are done by cops, if not 99.9%, they're obviously legit. I'm not going to say that there aren't some bad apples in law enforcement. We have bad apples in every part of society. We see it, not to pick on them, but you just saw the Boy Scouts paying out big money just last week because of bad apples they had. That wasn't their intention when they become the Boy Scouts of America, that they would have stuff like this happen. And we take a look at what's going on sometimes with certain religions. But people have to understand that and be empathetic of it. I think what the disheartening part of it is that the media constantly harps on it. And I blame it directly on the media. It's media driven. There's no doubt about it. Because I've never talked to anybody to this date that says, yes, we should be defunding the police. I've never had a person tell me that.
Smart.
If anything, they're like, Chief, do you have enough? Do you have enough people? Do you have enough money to operate? Do you have enough training?
Sure.
That's the big thing.
People
And
want to feel safe.
People want to feel safe.
Absolutely.
And believe it or not, even people who are bad want to feel safe. They don't want to be victimized.
I know this is difficult to do, but I have to cut you off because
Right.
we
We're
are
getting
just
done.
about out of time.
Boy, we were into the meats and potatoes of this show.
It just keeps on going and going and going. We have to unwind him, I guess, almost like the Eveready Bunny. Thank you, Sheriff Juan Figueroa, Ulster County. Thank you, Chief Joe Sinagra. Thank you to our state police captain who had to leave early, Fred Costello. Thank you, Lawrence. Most importantly, thank you, listeners. We'll be
Safe,
back here
everybody.
next
Safe.
Wednesday.